Right. It's 7 o'clock. I am calling the meeting to order. Would you please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Skinner, could you please do roll call?
Councilman Darcy.
Here.
Councilman Skinner, here. Councilman Spargo. Here. Councilman Davis. Here. Councilman Wynn. Here. All present.
Okay, moving on. There will be an amendment to the agenda tonight to add 2 action items. Item 5 will be authorization to sign a 5-year lease agreement with the Cosmopolis Engine Company #1. And item 6, approving the transition of deputy clerk to interim clerk treasurer, step 1. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to approve with one other addition. On new business discussion, I'd like to remove item number 4, Cosmopos Memorial Fire Museum, because that will be addressed under council action on.
Typically, under council action, we will, that will just use the vote. So
I'm asking to have that moved up. We don't need to discuss it under new business. It's going to be discussed under new council action.
so we would generally keep that under discussion, so that in that public comment period in between, the public could comment on our discussion.
Yep.
Reveal anything that we might have overlooked that might be worth consideration.
Okay, I rescind my motion, so I'd like to move to approve the agenda with the 5 and 6 additions.
I'll second that, Council Darcy.
All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, moving on. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Making a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Council Darcy will second that.
Is there any discussion?
Hearing none.
Hearing none, all those in favor? Say
Aye.
all those opposed? Hearing none, moving on. Council comments, members, are there any council comments at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to committee reports, auditing and finance.
We did have a very short finance meeting, and we have the property taxes are starting to come into the city, so that is helping considerably. And we had also the LGIP account went to general fund to pay for insurance. Yeah, so. And I did go over all the vouchers, and everything's okay there. And that's it for finance. Yeah.
Parks Committee,
Yeah, well, you'll have to forgive me, it's a big gap between when we have our Parks Committee and the council meetings right now. Mayor, I'll invite you to step in if I know it's something important, but we did have a really productive meeting. We had our friends from the
Veteran Conservation
Veteran Conservation, what was it?
District.
Thank you. Came out and talked to us a bit about the support that they would be providing with the Macarenco Community Garden restoration. We briefly held a meeting. What was that? A couple weeks ago,
Yes,
to just approve as a council their a letter of support that would allow them to apply for grants on behalf of the city. So they have, to my knowledge, they have submitted
they submitted the
those.
grant.
Yeah, they've submitted the grant application and are hopeful for a variety of different revenue sources that will support us with bringing back that community garden. We also looked at our comprehensive parks plan, just reading through like a 70-page document, line by line, looking for updates and, what's new in our parks, discuss a little bit about what our future plans will be. But we're not quite there yet. We're mostly looking at things that are inaccurate or outdated and updating that for the time. And then, you can expect that at some point in the next, I'm only estimating here, but I would guess at some point in the next year, you'll hear about, some opportunities for input from the public on what you all would like to see happen in our community parks. So, please keep your eyes and ears open for that. And if you're ready to come with your own thoughts and voices, don't overlook anything. Mayor?
Well, I think that's great. Justin, anything that you'd like to
Thank
add
you.
to that? Okay, perfect. Public safety, please.
Public safety. We had a short meeting last night. We only had a few of us in attendance that time of the year, I guess. And our discussions had to do with what we'll talk about here pretty quick on the resignation of our fire chief and where we're gonna go to move forward with that and what our expectations are, what our challenges are with that. And I'm going to hand it over. We started a committee here 3 months ago, I guess, 2 months ago on the traffic calming throughout Cosmopolis, some stop time improvements, some sidewalk improvement and stuff. And Justin, Councilman Spargo has taken the lead on that, and would you like to give your ideas that you came up with?
I mean, we have a pretty full house with our agenda tonight. We'll bring it forward next month. We
Okay.
haven't really got to touch base more than an email or two, so,
Okay,
so we'll bring it forward next month.
okay. Before I move on, Kelly, Ms. Dent, would you sign the sheet in, if you want to have a comment tonight?
Thank you.
Yeah. Other than that, we had a report from the Aberdeen Police Department last night at our meeting. Things are moving forward there. I'm sure that Commander Timmons will have a report from us coming up here shortly, and we'll go from there. That's it.
Thank you. Public Works.
Yes, Donnie and Jim have been moving along as far as getting all of Second Ave or Second Street all the boxes are all cleaned out. All the weeds have been taken care of. They've just been going around town doing a lot of mowing and weeding, and there is a lot of it. And so they've done a great job. The town looks great. And I think that was pretty good. It was kind of a short thing. It was just mostly that they're pretty much just plugging along and mowing and weeding, and that's that time of year. So, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move on to city official report. At the time, we do not have a clerk treasurer report. We'll move on to Aberdeen Police Chief, Commander Timmons, please.
I just have a few things, we talked about last night. There was a new law that passed that kind of basically created a distinction between e-bikes and motorcycles. And so kind of working on it right now, just a flyer, distribute to the community of those who ride e-bikes. And so we'll have that out to you, here in the next day or two, hopefully. So, our officers, we had 3 officers participate in the Kazi School Field Day, field run on June 9th. So they had a great time, so they enjoyed that. Our volunteers put in 146.5 hours during the month of May, and that was both here in the city of Kazi and Aberdeen. Call wise, I figured out the 6 months of this year, the 6 months of last year, you take out traffic stops and fire response calls, actually the calls are down 44%. As you're going pretty well. And one last thing I want to talk about is we had a call yesterday, which I'm sure everyone's aware of, the suspicious devices, the boat launch. So what that was is someone came across a bag with some basically fuses and a suspected pipe bomb. Our officer got there and called the state patrol bomb squad. They came down, they took possession of it. One was a pipe bomb, 2 where they believe were mortars wrapped in just paper. Using one as a tennis ball with some kind of unknown powder, believed to be maybe either gunpowder or firework powder. So at this point, we don't have any suspects, but we're still kind of just checking video and see what we do with that. So that's still active.
Thank you. Councilman Skinner will be speaking for the fire chief this evening. He is not able to attend.
His report pretty short, lucky me. Calls of service, they've total of 145 for 2026. Since the last report, they've had 26 calls for service, and there's a breakdown of an aid response 9, medical response 3, a lift 3, fire alarm 1, fire structure 8. And what was the AC?
Accident, unknown injury.
Accident, unknown injury, 2 for a total of 26. The Cosmopolis Fire Department hosted a CPR class for the community. We had a great turnout, and all that participated received CPR cards for adult, child, and infant CPR, AED, and first aid. So those that showed up and got their certifications, hope that if one of us fall down, one of them are around.
Okay, then we'll move on to my report. I'm gonna keep it short this evening because we do have a pretty full agenda. One of the things that I did lately, there's been some questions that have come forward about having inflatables and bouncy houses in the community. A lot of, people when they rent the covered area in the parks, that's just for the covered area. It's not for the park, because the park is a public space. So that has to be, open. And so with that, there was, it made us realize that we really need to, on the park committee, look at updating our park application. So there's no confusion about having bouncy houses or inflatable. And, we did allow Jump, which is a company that does, inflatables here in Grace Harbor. I wanted to be sure to follow up on it, so I called our insurance. I spoke with Shane Huston, who said that we have a total exclusion from our insurance policy. They do not cover it. And one of the things, because I've seen so many injuries with these type of inflatable, blow-up houses, bouncy houses, he said if we were to lean in that direction, he would highly recommend not allowing any inflatables on city property. Should a patron insist, said they would recommend a rental agreement signed with Hold Harmless and 2 Million, policy naming the city as additional insured. So at this time, if people, you hear them like, oh, I'm gonna put a bouncy house in a public park, you might just share with them that the city's not doing them, direct them to City Hall, and the Parks Committee will get the application and everything updated to reflect that. So moving on,
Mayor, did we miss the building inspector's report? Did he have one?
you know what, I did, because you're over here. No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, you'll have a copy of my report. So in January through today, this year, 58 permits have been issued, for the total valuation of $6,133,303. The permit fees have been collected since that time, total $32,854. And plan review fees of $14,000 for a total of $47,866. As far as building projects that are going, we have 3 big projects going right now. Cafe, which is nearing completion, it's almost done. The fees that have been collected from that since June of 2024 total $17,000. The next project is the Cosmopolis Grade School of Phase 1. That project started May 18th, just a couple weeks ago, and that's involving the auditorium, the gym, and the kitchen area, which were not done in the previous. And the fees collected for that so far are $29,577. The other project are continuing on with the grade school. They've got a phase 2 project, which had to be separated from their phase 1 project because of the grant funding, and that's on the fire system, and the potential fees for that are $3,200. The preliminary plans have been brought in, but the final ones have not been. They should be coming in hopefully within the next few weeks, according to the architect. The last big project is the Daniels project, which is the River's Edge housing. And fees so far received from that have been $7,500, with more will be coming in as it progresses along. The first 2 residences are going up on lots 13 and 14, which is 721 and 729 First Street. I put that in there twice. So the fees have been received on that are for the plan review and the building permit fees. Like I said, there'll be other fees that'll be coming in. The first inspection for those 2 will be on Monday, It's coming Monday on the 22nd. As far as code enforcement goes, I've issued 13 notices for various different things: overgrown, public nuisances. 724 Stanford, we have a hearing set for next Thursday. That's been an ongoing issue. Received a lot of complaints on it and everything, so finally we've got to the point where something will be done coming after the hearing. The other one is 1409 Third Street. I'm waiting on, I advised them what they needed to do, because the owner wants the city to go in and clean it up, and she'll pay the city. But I told her we needed permission to be on property to do that, so I'm waiting for a letter from her attorney, giving us that permission to do that. The other one is 217 8th Street. It's a bunch of motorhomes that were being torn apart because he had difficulty trying to get lost titles through the state. And so that's been slowly being cleaned up. I met with Matt Chrisman yesterday, and he's the one, I guess he's the grandson or something, and he's been busy working on it. And today we were, George Welch, the parking enforcement, and I were over there issuing a hold permit for one of the motorhomes that's been made. And then the last thing is my hours. Because of what has been going on, I had a talk with the mayor, and she has authorized me to work more hours. And anytime that I need those hours, it's come through. Normally I was working 6 hours a week. That has increased as of 3 weeks ago, up to 9 hours a week. And I spend 2 days a week on the building part, Mondays and Wednesdays, and on Tuesdays I do code enforcement. So that's where we were falling behind, was on the code enforcement. So now I'm able to address some of those issues. And as I indicated, that if I need more hours, the mayor has authorized me to do that. I just have to let her know. And to make sure that everybody understands what my hours are, I work 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on all 3 of those days. And that's it.
Thank you. So talking about enforcement, yeah, I think most of you know, we do have a parking enforcement officer that comes over here from Aberdeen, George. Real friendly gentleman. He's done an amazing job removing, I think, 3 or 4 vehicles that had been sitting not in front of their houses, but parked in front of other resident houses full of garbage, broke down. And so if you see something, call the non-emergent number and report that. You know, there's this vehicle, maybe expired tabs, it has garbage in it. Someone just parked it on my block, or parked it down, because people are doing that and things are getting moved. And we had one vehicle with a little blue Honda, and it was parked on 2nd Street for quite some time. It got ticketed. And then they moved it around the corner, because we have a 7-day that they can have to move that. And got ticketed again, and then they moved it again, and then it ended up, I think, down on 3rd or 2nd Street. On a trailer without the motor in it. And then finally they called to have it towed away, and I saw it going to Aberdeen. And so, sorry, Commander. But it's not in town anymore. So the other thing, I just, we've had this in a newsletter, we talked about it, it's in flyers. It's America 250th celebration, a chance for us to celebrate our country and celebrate our wonderful little communities here. So on July 4th, we had hoped to have big plans. We kind of narrowed it down a little bit. Got some good news that I think Engine Company #1 is going to be participating in it. So we'll have some more conversations about that. But what's going to be happening on July 4th from 3 to 6 o'clock at the City Hall and the fire station, we will have different type of old albums and information out here, historical information from the city of Cosmopolis. We do have coming from the state videos that will be playing about the nation and this birthday. We will have a good cake that'll be served here. And we're hoping, I don't know if any of you know Ken Mitchell, he's a local artist, he's in his 80s here. He taught art classes, had many art shows up at the college. He travels to the Midwest and does a lot of painting for their national parks. And a few years ago, gosh, back in 2024, when I first came in the office, he came and said that he would really like to do something for the city. So he went through all of our old photographs. He selected a picture of an old sailing schooner, lumber schooner, that was docked right over here on the river. It's pretty amazing. It's 4x8. I think it will be done. He's hoping to have it done by the 4th. As I said, he's 80 but he's an amazing artist. We're hoping to have the unveiling that day, and there'll be more information about that. And then out between the fire station and City Hall, we'll have music from one of our own. Steve will be doing karaoke. Many of you know Steve. He'll be doing karaoke and DJing out there. And the Lions Club will be roasting hot dogs courtesy of my husband and myself. And then our volunteer fire department here will be running water balloons and cornhole and passing out ice cream. So we're encouraging everyone. We have that beautiful green space. Bring your picnic basket, bring your blankets, come out. It's a family event. Come out, bring your pets, sit in their yard, sit in a chair out here. Just bring your kids, come out and have a good time, celebrate our country and celebrate our, hometown here in the community. So that's what I have. And so we'll move on to new business. So first, new business is the appointment of Planning Commission member Cal O'Brien Sabota. All of you got his information. This position was posted May 12th. We had 2 applicants and a citizen from Aberdeen. And so I took those before the Planning Commission just to let them know what was going on, and we cannot have an Aberdeen citizen sitting on it, but Cal is very, very qualified and will be a wonderful addition. So later we will ask for you to confirm that appointment to the Planning Commission. So moving on, item 2, the C-Link franchise agreement. And our attorney, Chris Coco, would you speak to that?
I think you guys have seen this, agreement back many times, maybe. So this is a, franchise agreement. C-Link is running some conduit, basically from the coast through several cities. So this has been before. I think Montesano's got it. I think it's going through Oakville as well. I had some discussions with Steve, the individual who's sort of the point for C-Link. It's a fairly standard franchise agreement that allows, obviously if they have to open something up, they'll pay permit fees. We are going to have some pass-through costs. Initially, they're gonna be in probably the $2,500 range, which I would recommend we make signing of this contingent on that, and they've already agreed to it in principle. And it's covered my time reviewing this, some of Bill's time and things like that. Other than that, it's if they open up something, they gotta put it back the way it was. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. And then we have a guest this evening, Kelly Daniels, who will speak to River Edge Waterfront Project Committee.
Thank you, Mayor Springer. Just a quick update on the front project, going well. Finally got the permit, so thanks to Bill on all of that. we've got 2 foundations that are up and going and inspections are set for Monday. So, hopefully we'll start seeing some vertical walls, go up. So we're underway, so that's good news. We've got a very short weather window to get those close to the weather, as you know, it starts raining before we know it. So, we're anxious to get that going. Back in June on the 3rd, I sent a letter to the council members. I'm assuming that you guys all got my letter on June 3rd. Just basically, wanted to publicly thank Bill and then also to advocate for Bill and his workload. As you know, in his report, we've got a huge summer here in a very small window of building, a very small building window. And I just can't imagine everything that he's trying to accomplish and including code enforcement. He's kind of the staff member that is running the show here in Cosmopolis. And so, I was a little bit frustrated because we couldn't get permits done, but it was just a matter of him working 6 hours a week. And so I shared with the council that my opinion is that this is a fee-based position. And so the faster you can get permits and faster you can get projects moving, the faster money comes into the city for revenue. And so when you have these project windows, these building windows, that would be the time to increase his hours significantly to be able to get through those projects. And then in the slower season, in the winter, and when it's not so busy, to reduce his hours. Because it's fee-based, the faster you get permits and projects done, the faster the money comes into the city. I understand that since my June 3rd letter, his hours have increased by 3 hours additionally a week. I just like city council to consider increasing that even more so that these projects can move quicker. Another suggestion that also that might help just from the city, from a business perspective, running the business of the city is to get a city administrator / clerk position. There's just suggestions for the council to consider. Someone with a lot of experience that might be able to carry, both hats, to try and assist the mayor. She's got a lot on her plate and is busy and her car is always here and I see her working long hours. So any way to try and give her some additional support and also Bill some additional support. It would be great to find someone with a lot of experience and maybe they can wear both of those hats. So just a suggestion to help keep the business of the city moving forward on a quicker basis. Like, for example, today, I thought Bill worked Wednesday afternoons. I was gonna come down, write a check and pay for another permit, but have to wait till Monday until he comes back because it's not something that Linda can do. And so the mayor can do. So those are just some things that I think that we can try and get more revenue into the city. If we maybe looked at our staffing a little bit closer. So those are just some suggestions. And then also on these 4 big projects, the last concern that we have and just some feedback that we would like is in October of 24, the council held a meeting with the city of Aberdeen regarding our sewer situation. And it's June of 26 now. And I'm just wondering from the city council if there's been any resolution with the city of Aberdeen on our sewer situation and what plan is put forward for the citizens of Cosmopolis. We're planning with 22 new houses in the subdivision. We got the school in Pape. Everybody's gonna be increasing their footprint in the city of Cosmopolis. So just curious as to where we stand and if there's any city council members that can speak to that. We're going on almost 3 years now with no agreement with the city of Aberdeen to my knowledge. And so just curious as to where that stands, if there's any feedback that the council can give businesses and citizens, that's gonna be helpful to us as our footprint grows from a business perspective. So I'd love to see something on kind of where we stand and what we owe the city of Aberdeen and kind of what our plan is moving forward as we increase our footprint. Using water and sewer and different utilities in the city of Aberdeen. So that's kind of where I'm at. Other than that, we're moving along. Advocate for more hours for Bill. I think everybody that's working on projects would be grateful for that. In addition to the 4 big ones, it's also all the people that have little building permits, all the residents throughout Cosmopolis that might want to have a plumbing repair or add a garage. So it's those people that just need addressed in a quicker manner. So hopefully the council can we need to discuss that in executive session and maybe come up with resolution. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kelly.
Being that this is a discussion section, and we've been kind of moving pretty briskly through things, so I want to make sure we're taking a moment if there is any discussion.
Any
Between-
discussion at this time?
I mean, I would, also, I think this would be an appropriate time if there's any updates on the sewer situation to.
So I'd be happy to speak to that. So we actually are in negotiation. We have a couple members here that sat on that team. We just had a meeting. We did a proposal. As you know, the last administration left us with quite a debt from 21, 22, 23. So we caught up paying up 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 sewer is paid. The capital improvement, the 1 point, that's where we are in negotiation, because the city of Cosmopolis cannot afford that. They really put us in a very difficult situation. So we've been going back and forth to the table. We have a pretty great team. The plans are, we just met about a week ago. An email went around with our water technician, community water systems. We sent out the proposal that Aberdeen sent us, kind of going back and forth. I think we're at a good place. I'm hoping that next month that this will be coming before the citizens and that the council will make a decision based on the input from citizens, the direction that they want to see the city go. Is that buying our system? Or if it's not, the reality is rates are gonna go up. They're gonna double, and then we're gonna have a loan to pay off a $1 million debt that we inherited. So, you know, we don't want to speculate. We want to be able to make sure that we provide you concrete, solid information and that we're doing our best to alleviate those kind of costs hitting our citizens. So we have been working on that. And so the plans are, we have 2 members right here, Councilmember Darcy and Councilmember Skinner, and then we have Mary Carr, business and sits on that team. And so I think they can all let you know that we have been diligently working on this matter and not taking it lightly. And that will be, as I said, that is to be on the agenda. As we got the proposal, we looked at it, we had our attorney look at it. We're working with the Department of Commerce. They looked at that. We want to make sure we're not missing anything. So that feedback is going back to them. And then we hope things are going to start moving next month. Any other questions or comments from the council?
When we talk about a capital improvement project, I don't know if everybody in the audience understands. Aberdeen's in the process of trying to rebuild their treatment center, their Aberdeen Sewer Treatment Center. And they've been at it for over 20 years. And it keeps getting pushed on because of the expense. Well, the expense don't get cheaper the longer you wait. And it's astronomical what it's gonna cost for them to build a new plant. And they've revised, and a portion of that is billed to us. That capital improvement project is, because we feed that system. And so that's where this million plus that the mayor is talking about, that's the percentage that Cosmopolis would, by their figures, would have to pay for that capital improvement project. And that's the one where they came to us right off the bat and said, it's $1.5 million, $2 million, don't quote me, but we want it paid off in 3 years. You know, the revenue we have in Cosmopolis, and we're gonna just pull that from where? And so this is where we're trying to work back and forth on figuring out just how we're going to, it's inevitable, we're going to have to pay, but just 10 years, 5 years, what it looks like that we'll be able to do and move forward with. So that's just the idea of what the capital improvement project that they're talking about is.
So back in, there was a 10-year contract. So when I came into office, that contract expired. And that's where that $1.6 million debt came from for capital improvements. Because they were collecting fees that was based on the same fees that Aberdeen residents were paying, the same cost, but half of that went to pay for administrative costs here in the city of Aberdeen. And so for 10 years, Cosmopolis was not paying their full share to Aberdeen. But at some point, it was expected that, we were going to pay. I only can say that I would have hoped, and they say, don't talk about the past, but the past is where we are now, the reason we are, I mean, you can't not talk about the past to understand why we are in this situation today. So Aberdeen has been good in their partnership, a sister city, and coming on board, working with us. But they want to be paid. There was a contract. So how do we honor that contract? How do we do our part, but also make it tolerable for our citizens? And let me tell you, that's weighed on me heavy, because I know that each and one of you, the cost of living has gone up astronomically. The gas, groceries, it's, how do you, our 50+ luncheons here on Tuesdays, we have probably 25 to 28 people that come in here, from 50 up to 80 something. And they retired in nice homes in this community thinking they were going to live comfortable. It's difficult. And I see that every day. And so I take this serious. All of us on this team take it serious. I want you to know that we are there working for you, and we are doing the best and researching and getting, those discussions so we can come to the table showing you that we've done our due diligence when we come to the table. So that will be out there next month. Okay, any other comments or questions?
And we have made considerable payments too towards, we paid off the debt up to debt and then made another big payment too as well. So we have made some considerably large payments to, let Aberdeen know that yes, we're working on it and working towards that. So that all goes towards the bargaining thing too, letting them, know that it doesn't get any bigger than what it already is, yeah. So I know there's been some people say, well, we're paying our sewer, where's all the money? And go, well, we have made some considerable big giant payments, I think $800,000, and then I think actually two $800,000 payments, one to get the back pay paid, and then another one to get, so really we only have 26,
Right,
yeah.
So we paid
Alright.
sewer all the way up to 25. We have not paid 26.
Right.
Um,
So we paid a considerable amount of our debt off.
but we paid a small amount toward capital improvement.
Yeah.
But remember, when we came in 21, they owed like 21, I can't remember the exact number, 28,000. Then in 23, it was half of that. And in 24, nothing had been paid. So when I came into office, we had to pay that up. We had to pay that. So we've been working diligently. We could pay the sewer, but there's not enough money to go toward capital improvements. So we are working. So if you hear someone like, where's the money is being paid. Okay?
I did some work with Aberdeen and through a public request. Our last payment was $400,000 in December of 25. And you have to understand, we used to pay the sewer annually. There was a time we got behind, so I went to an annual payment. So when this council came in 25, of course, it over 24 in 25, because that's the way the process has been done. And so we're hearing numbers somewhere between 1.6 and 1 point something. My request, Aberdeen said 1.4 million is the number. So.
And actually, it's less than that at this time. And the 400 that Mr. Davis is talking about, that number also included capital improvement. We made it clear that we're not paying that capital improvements at this time. We're only paying the sewer debt at this time because we
And
want.
Mayor, I want to be careful, you're kind of getting into maybe negotiation issues.
You're
which
right,
We
thank
really
you.
don't want to be talking, I mean, this
Right.
is a topic that was Rivers Edge Waterfront, good question about where the sewer is, but
Right.
this isn't even on the agenda.
Thank you. Yeah.
So if
That's a
we
very
want
good
to put this
point.
on the agenda next week, we can, or 2 weeks, we could do that or whenever. But, I just want you to be careful, because you're kind of getting into some of the things that are part of the
You're
negotiation.
exactly right. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on then, okay?
Not that you don't have to stop, you don't have to
Yeah.
stop talking about it, I'm just saying.
Now,
I covered
Yeah,
it, yeah,
but it,
yeah.
I'll just, jump in and say, I think you adequately addressed the concerns and the questions that people might have
Okay.
about it as it pertains to the permitting, and we appreciate. I'm sure the citizens appreciate hearing an update.
okay, thank you. Okay. So, thank you, Chris. And so we're going to move on to item number 4. And it's the Cosmopolis Memorial Fire Museum. Mr. Davis wanted to speak to that tonight. Do you still want to speak or?
I do. Tonight we're being asked to pay a contractor for repairs to the museum. A few years ago, a branch poked holes in the roof, a tree hit the building, branches poked holes in the roof, caused some water leaks and some interior damage to the building. We had asked, early on to have we found that the insurance company the city did insure that building. We weren't sure that they had. Anyway, they did. So we asked a few years ago to have a claim filed with the insurance company to fix the damage. It had never gotten filed. That had never happened. So Mayor Springer went forward and filed the insurance claim. The insurance company came out. They came up with a number. And at the time I met with Mayor Springer and Councilman Skinner, excuse me. And we talked about the project briefly. That's all that's been to the council. It's never came before the council to be approved for the work to be done. And it's outside of the authority. It has to come before the council to be done. And I brought this up multiple times. So tonight we're being asked to pay for this project from insurance funds. But the questions are, is it complete?
Sorry, can you just clarify real quick, because you're speaking as a representative of
I'm speaking as a councilman.
as a council. Okay, when you say we, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, so well, I mean, speaking as a citizen, as a council member, everything. So we on the council, this has not come before the council to be discussed. This is the first time it's come before the council. And there's a resolution that was written that limits the authority of purchasing power for mayor, for the city administrators and things like that. This is well beyond that. So it's in that, we don't know exactly. I'm gonna guess $130,000 range. And so tonight we're being asked to pay for that. We, the council, the citizens are being asked to use that insurance money to pay for the project, but we don't have any, there's no reference. What work was done? How much did it cost? Who did the work? Who authorized the work? And going forward, there is a process. There's processes on all these things, and we write resolutions for a reason.
And did you say when the work was done and when the resolution was passed?
The resolution, this particular resolution, I think was passed in 2022. It was updated then.
When was the work completed?
Well, the resolution has nothing to do with the museum. The resolution
Right, but
was,
it does pertain to.
in 2022, the resolution said $15,000 was the limit. There's a bunch of other things in there. It has to be a budgeted amount.
So I'm presuming that the repairs were done after that.
The repairs were done, started in roughly February of this year.
Okay.
The agreement with the contractor was reached about February of this year. And they're not complete, or they state that they're complete. But we don't have any reference as far as what has been done, what work has been done.
So you're talking about something like an itemized receipt from the contractor?
I'm talking about first the authority to do the work at the beginning. And then, yes, the receipt to show what's been done, that has been.
No.
So I'll speak to that. So I'm not perfect. And you're right, I have a lot on my plate. So yeah, it was sad to see that museum setting up there. It's an important part of history. I knew Denny York well. His family, all of them, Bev, Cal, all of them. And so here we have this amazing museum up there that was damaged and nothing took place on it. And so coming into office, you're right, they didn't file a claim. I reached out to Shane Heston again because I always reach out to our insurance company. And I said, he said, this claim is going to expire. And he said, so we need to get moving on it. We got bids. I worked with one of the engine company number one, Todd Moulton, who was great because from January, probably, gosh, back in 2025, my clerk treasurer at that time was tasked with getting bids. We didn't have a lot of luck. We needed to get 3 bids for the insurance company. We did do that. We worked with Bill. We ended up going with one of the roofing companies. It had a checklist that was all gone through. Bill went, Bill couldn't even speak to that. Bill went, signed off on everything. The museum is done, other than getting a lift up there to help hang lights, which the city is going to help do. And so it is done. It's not coming out of the city. It's coming from the insurance. There was no extra cost, no extra run over. The project was monitored very closely, making it very clear the city had no extra money to pay for this project. So they actually worked with us. They did a little patching up there. That wasn't part of that, just to get it done. And I'm excited. I'm hoping to hand the keys over and help that museum, move forward, an important part of history. So, if the council has any questions about that or.
Right, so just to be clear, what we're going to be voting for or against is on the agenda, it says to approve insurance payment for the fire museum mitigation and restoration. So I'm a little confused because it sounds like we're not paying anything. It's being paid for by
We're
insurance.
not paying anything.
So what is it that we are voting to approve?
Chris, could you,
So, sorry, there's two things going on. The biggest issue that the mayor kind of touched on and that Mr. Davis touched on as well, is the mayor signed a contract with this contractor that did not get council approval. Okay, that's a no-no. Now, obviously that happens sometimes. This is not the first time I've seen this, but it does happen. So I think the council, the way you fix this is, if you so choose, is you have to basically ratify the actions of the mayor. Okay? That's number one. And if you ratify the actions of the mayor, then that's then council approves the contract, even though it's after the fact. It is not correct procedurally how it went down. I don't know anything about really the history of it in terms of the insurance proceeds. So when I looked at it, this is what I see. So then the second issue that I'm hearing Mr. Davis talk about is we're not seeing any substantial completion, do we have statements from the contractor saying all the lien releases have been filed and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of a secondary issue here that I think Mr. Davis is touching on. He also touched on the first issue, but he's also touching on that second issue. So there's kind of two issues here. First thing is, I think the council, if they so choose, they don't have to, which creates another level of issue. But the council has to make the decision whether or not it's gonna ratify the contract the mayor already signed. Then the payment issue and Mr. Davis's issues can be addressed about, again, substantial compliance, lien releases, everything signed off.
Okay, so I think that is helpful, but I think it would help us to understand what is, the consequence of voting to approve or not.
So if you vote to approve it, you're ratifying an action that was already taken. Okay, so it's kind of backdating, you're doing it in reverse order, but
Well,
it's
I
a
think we
correction.
understand that there's a-
If you don't do it, technically, it can be defined as an illegal contract because it was not approved by council. And per the rules of the city the mayor does not have the authority to sign a contract without the approval of the council. If that was to happen, That would be something that would be interesting, because if it's a licensed bonded contractor, what's gonna happen is you're gonna get a quantum merit type claim, which is a equitable claim saying, hey, you know what? We understand there was this procedural dust up here, but we did the work. Okay, like if I'm a contractor and I walk in and, I'm a licensed contractor in the state of Washington, I come in and do a bathroom in your house. And you don't pay me. I can sue you, even if we don't have a contract. I can sue you for quantum merit or unjust enrichment. If I'm not a licensed contractor, I can't. So being a licensed contractor, which I'm assuming the builder is, I have no idea.
Yeah.
The guy where
Yeah.
it does work.
Yes.
I think it would subject the city to that kind of claim.
Okay,
Is what I
so,
think.
so the insurance won't pay out without having the proper, supportive resolution from the council? Is
I
that-
believe so, to authorize the final payment.
Right.
Okay,
But I haven't talked to the insurance company, so I don't know.
Right,
that
the
exactly.
insurance actually did pay out because when I talked to the insurance company, they said, get the claims, it's its clothing, it was kind of, as we talked about it, a little unclear. They said, yes, just get this thing, we did. We did get the payment, it's sitting in the bank, we got the bids, came in under, the work was done, there was a walkthrough, my understanding here. About a week ago, maybe this week, Bill checked everything is done. And so I'm just asking the council to confirm moving forward to pay the insurance company.
So my question is with all work performed, were gutters supposed to be installed? Because they removed damaged gutters, did the work and reinstalled damaged gutters on the museum.
The gutters were, my understanding, the gutters were fine and they put the gutters back.
It's missing like a 20-piece section of gutter.
Okay, so we haven't paid them yet.
Yeah, so if that was in the contract and that was supposed to be fixed, I would like that to be at least corrected before we go forward with any
Okay.
payments. Because it's missing a heavy chunk where with weather coming, we're gonna have waterfalls down each side of that
Absolutely.
building.
And I think that's a good point. And if there's something else, I think we look at that and talk to the company and say, please take.
Yeah, I'm not sure who we had do the roof or that area of work, but they took down damaged goods and put back up damaged goods.
So Bill, you did the inspection on it?
Trail side of the museum,
Under the building code, I don't look at gutters.
gotcha. But I mean, if we're putting over that kind of money, a small section of gutter for a company that's gonna make a heavy lump sum off of the insurance. I think should be addressed.
So noted.
If gutters were in the scope of work, they should have done gutters.
Yeah. So
We'll have to look.
Yeah,
we'll look at that. Okay. And Bill, you don't recall if that was in? No, okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So I think moving on. Before you go, there was something in the mayor's report that I forgot to do, and so. So tonight, I'm coming before the council and I'm coming before citizens. I want you to know that, I inadvertently used a city credit card, and purchased some items on my Amazon account. In November of last year, my public work person came to me and said, I'm sure Kelly remembers this, we didn't have a metal detector. So I called our public work and I said, do we have a metal detector? He said, no. I said, we need to get a metal detector. We have a process, we have a 3-step process for checking payments in the office. The bills come in, our deputy clerk opens them, brings them to me. At that time, I noted it. I took it to our clerk treasurer and went, this is I ordered this, but not on purpose through this account. So inadvertently, I don't know if you shop with Amazon, but I have 4 cards on my Amazon account. I have my card, my husband's card, we have our business card and the Amazon card. So when I got that card out and I ordered it, I did not remove that card from that account. And so in March, on the weekend, I did some shopping and didn't think anything of it. And then when the bill came in and it was shown to me, I went to our clerk treasurer and I was like, how do I handle this? You know, it was embarrassing, quite embarrassing. And basically it was make a payment. I said, we'll have a little bit more coming in April. Cause how Amazon bills, no problem, make a payment. Asked about reporting it to council, no, write a check, not an issue. Get it deposited, we did that. Still feeling uncomfortable with it, I took it to our attorney, he was like, how did that happen? And so, so I explained, and then I also contacted our CPA and said, this happened, and she said, I've seen this before. I said, do I need to do anything else? She said, you need to report it to the auditor. So I did do that. That card has since been canceled. It was removed the moment we found the mistake. But I want you to know, I feel like I've always been honest. I've always been transparent. I made a mistake. We again, well, I think the process we have in place, it covers those kind of mistakes, and it helps protect the city and you as a citizen, that money isn't being mishandled. So I just wanted you to know that. Okay, so we will move on to Jeremy Wynn, street tree planting.
Yeah, okay, tough act to follow.
Sorry, I wish it was easier.
I'll try to keep this relatively brief. I feel like, some of you may be getting restless. If you'd like to stand and stretch your legs, feel free to do so. So I first introduced a draft to a street tree plan, ordinance, probably more than a year ago now. I think it's a really important thing for our city and our community, and I'll say more about why. But I just want to acknowledge that over the last year, I received a lot of feedback from citizens, or council members, and a lot of folks did a lot of research, and what I wanted to ensure was that when we brought that back, which was just for discussion at the time, and we're bringing it today, again, just for discussion, that we felt like we had a good plan moving forward for this. And we're gonna take our time with it, as much as I think it's a really important thing, and every year that we don't have this plan, we don't reap the benefits of that plan, right? That's just the nature of our organic infrastructure in the city. So, I'll just make clear that this is also just for discussion. I invite folks to reach out if they have questions or concerns. My hope is to have a final draft for you next month to vote on. But that'll only be if it's been put through the proper phases. So let me say just a little bit more about what a street tree plan is. It's a very commonplace ordinance for cities. In fact, the street tree plan itself is generally not an ordinance. It's not a law or municipal code. It's typically a set of guidelines that are adopted by the city, and essentially says, hey, in these places, here's what you can plant and how you can plant it. Right? If you look behind you and you see these beautiful trees planted on the street side next to our city hall, these are beautiful trees, but they're really not appropriate trees for their placement. If you try to walk by them, you kind of got to do a little dance. They take up a lot of the sidewalk. And that is often the case in cities because trees, they have their own wants. And very often landscapers who come in under contract and plant trees for cities, they're not horticulturalists, they're not gardeners, they don't necessarily know what the tree is going to do. And so that's where cities need to provide a little bit of guidance around what's getting planted and where. And one of the reasons we're taking our time with this is a kind of a sensitive subject for a lot of folks. We used to have trees, I understand, along First Street. And they weren't the proper type and they were becoming a maintenance issue. And so they were removed and that upset a lot of people, but you know, they were a maintenance issue and that upset a lot of people. So, just want folks to understand that, you know, we've approached this very carefully and it's, you know, it's being a well thought out, series of decisions. So the idea behind the street tree plan is that we have a way moving forward as a city to decide, okay, what are the trees that folks can plant, where they can plant them and how they can plant them. Without getting into all the complexities, I want to give you just like a really high level overview and I'll try and knock this out in just a few minutes. Okay, so first of all, why? You might be wondering, is this important? There's a number of reasons. One of the main reasons, to me at least, is the impact it has on our city. So when you look at a city as a prospective resident, as a prospective new business, as somebody who's passing through, tree-lined streets is kind of like an iconic sort of American idea, right? Tree-lined streets, you've heard of, you've seen them, it's a boon to a community and it's a almost kind of a status marker in a way of a well-kept city, right? So it definitely has benefits to the revenue that the city experiences in terms of people moving in, people stopping at our businesses, businesses wanting to move in. It's a way of showing that our city is well cared for. It obscures things in the city that have kind of fallen into disrepair and are negligent. People instead notice the nice greenery. And as you can imagine, for a city as old as we are, oldest city in the county, right? Yeah, we should have matured greenery on the side of our streets and we don't. And that's because we don't have the, you know, the legal process to do that. So that's what this is designed to do. Other economic considerations are that doing this is going to lower heating and cooling costs for residents. And most importantly, I think, it's going to lower sewer costs. When we met with the city of Aberdeen, they did studies and they found that one of the significant increases in our city's sewer bills is infiltration. It's groundwater that's coming in through our sewer that goes into wastewater treatment. And we're paying for rain, basically. We're paying extra for rain that's not getting absorbed by trees. And that's one of the reasons that many cities are doing this. We're not the only city that has an aging sewer infrastructure. So you can see all the way from big cities to little cities like ours, these plans are being adopted because trees drink a lot of water. And they've become a very effective, very cost-effective way of mitigating those wastewater expenses that are right now showing up in your bills. So those are a few of the reasons why this kind of plan is important. Now I want to address some concerns really quickly. Overwhelmingly, the greatest concern I heard over the last year from folks was, well, what about cleaning up the leaves when they fall into the gutters? And, you know, who's going to clean them up? And, you know, is that going to cause sewer problems itself? Is it going to prevent the flow of water into the sewers and, you know, create pooling water on the streets? And that's why this plan becomes important, because it determines, again, what are appropriate trees to plant. And I brought some leaves just from trees in my yard today, just as a reference, so people could kind of see visually what the difference is, and I'll pass them around. So, you know, when you think about a tree that's gonna cause, you know, problems for infrastructure, you're probably thinking of something like this. This is an ordinary maple leaf. This is just the average maple leaf that I grabbed off a tree in my yard. It's big. Even when it dries up and desiccates, it takes up a lot of space. It gets clumped up with other leaves. And, you know, yeah, you run into problems with that. And those trees get big. They get up to, you know, about 50 feet tall. That's just a maple. That's not a conifer that gets up to 100 feet tall. So those trees, yeah, they become infrastructure problems. These are also maple trees from my yard. So these are all different kinds of maple trees. You can see that a much smaller footprint. They also grow much smaller. They grow up to usually only about 20 feet. So they're much more appropriate for something like a street side. They provide a lot of the benefits, but without creating all that mess. Now, the average person is not, again, a horticulturalist, a gardener. They don't know if they go to a store and say, give me a maple tree, what they're gonna get, right? So that's where this kind of plan becomes important. It informs the city and also residents what are appropriate trees. Now, I'll also clarify, and I'll pass this around for council and for the citizens to look at. You know, you may be wondering, well, am I not allowed to plant trees along the street? In my yard, it really depends. There's essentially 4 classes of property that are in question here. Anything that is your property that you own, you can plant anything anywhere. And there's no guidance for you from our city about what you should plant and what you shouldn't plant. When you talk about things like the sidewalks crumbling, well, you know, that's because somebody planted a tree that wasn't appropriate, but they probably planted it on the side of the sidewalk that they're allowed to plant it on. And, you know, but there's nothing that the city can really necessarily do other than deal with it after the fact. So those aren't really a consideration for this, other than it does give people some guidance about what they should and shouldn't plant, you know, sidewalks. The other pieces of property are the city managed property. So that would be, you know, these little beds in the sidewalks here, anything that is owned expressly by the city and maintained by the city. And this doesn't really necessarily address that either. Except it, again, acts as guides, because, you know, currently, the mayor can, you know, tell the public works staff, just start planting anything they want anywhere. There's nothing to stop the mayor from doing that either, and there's no guidance for the mayor. There's also not a horticulturalist or a gardener to my knowledge, so it becomes an important guide for the city about what they should plant and when. And okay, and then the parts that are most relevant here are going to be the city parking strips. So the city parking strips, when we talk about tree lined streets, that's what this is, this plan is primarily aimed to address. So the parking strip, if you don't know, is that strip of grass between the sidewalk and the street. Now, that can be owned in our city by either the city or the resident of the adjacent property. And you won't know unless you know, have really looked at your property and figured out if that is a parcel that belongs to the city or belongs to you. But in either case, citizens are generally the ones that are expected to maintain that property. So what the street tree plan is supposed to do is just clarify that whether you are the property owner or the city, these are the trees and that should be planted in those areas that are, you know, generally they're close to sidewalks, they're close to sewer and water infrastructure. And these are the things that won't be a problem. Okay. That's the high level. So I'm gonna wrap it up real quick to say that the current ordinance that we have basically says that the public works director is the person who can decide if something can be planted there. Which in the absence of a public works director would go to the city administrator, in the absence of which would go to the mayor. So as it stands, if you want to plant a tree in that parking strip, you need a written permission from the mayor, who is also not a horticulturalist to get. So it's not a realistic way for us to approach having a street tree plan, right? And that's why most cities will just have establish some guidelines about, you know, here's a list of trees that you can plant, and here's where you can plant them, how you should plant them. This is not that plan. This is just a ordinance that changes it so that rather than written permission from the mayor, we say that we are going to create that plan. And that's all that this ordinance really does. You know, there are, you know, some other details here we can discuss, but all those are up for discussion. So you have it printed there in black and white in the current draft. And if you have concerns or suggestions, then I invite you to reach out. Okay, so discussion.
Well, I'd just like to say, I sincerely appreciate the effort. Having the right type of tree planted in the right area is definitely the right idea. And we have history of not that trees may have been specifically. This is the type of tree you're gonna plant here, but then nobody followed up and they planted whatever they had. And so we ended up with sidewalk problems, things like that. So I appreciate the effort. I'd like to see this go forward, absolutely. Thank you.
Any other?
I go along with Councilman Davis. I think a plan is a good idea. I do think there's some real issues that we do have to have conversation on and work through. The idea of coming down, buying a new home, buying an older home and coming to the city and saying, what can I plant? How can I plant? I look across the street and see what my neighbors got planted, I'll plant. It's the idea, we build fences. And I came down and said, what can I do for a fence? And I was told by the last administration, look down the street. Really, that's the determining factor of what I can build for a fence? I did a little more research and I found that I can't have 8-foot, 12-foot fences at the corner, that type of a deal. But that's what I get a concern on, is just that somebody will come in and I'm gonna beautify my piece of property and I see trees out there, so now I'm gonna plant a tree, and that's okay. Do we have enforcement? Do we have the people, the manpower
And
to deal with that issue?
that is part of the plan,
Yeah.
to include enforcement in that.
Yeah, and you sold your home and the next person comes in and buys the home and says, I'm responsible for those, they're on city property. What do you mean I'm responsible for those? That's, those are just things that we'd have to address in the plan.
Yeah, and
And I
those
agree.
are very common concerns and suggestions, and I included in the draft some ways that those can be addressed, but there are other ways.
Yeah.
Every city addresses those concerns in different ways. Some have very restrictive
Hmm.
policies that basically say you've got to get a permit to plant a tree. And even this one says, if the city deems necessary, they can order the tree removed. So, yeah, I mean, we definitely have to have precautions there for, like you said, people just see, oh, yeah, people are planting trees here, so I can plant trees here.
And the leaves are one thing, the roots are another. And that is also an issue that we have to start dealing with and thinking about, is that most of the homes have been replaced with the old clay or stone pipe sewer pipes to new PVC. New in the last 30 years, 40 years, they've pretty much replaced through Causey and Aberdeen Oakwood. You still get to the point, depending on the kind of roots, they can still find their way to water, and the water's running through them lines.
Yeah.
And that is an issue that we have to deal with. So that same tree that is modeled for the small leaf and not getting into the stormwater, is it got the same root system that's not going to invade?
And that again becomes an important determination of what trees are on those.
Right.
The fortunate thing is, generally, if you're talking about considerations like that, you would need to, consult with some like horticulturalists and arborists. You would need a high level of consultation to know, does this tree have an invasive root system,
Yeah.
right? Is it gonna start getting in there and breaking things up? And some trees do and some don't. But how would we know that?
Yeah,
The good thing is that other cities have already done that, right? Cities with more money have already done that research, and so they've developed lists, and you can go online and search for city tree plans and find just a multitude of lists. And we'd be working from those, not from trying to, figure that mess out.
and the federal and the state, they love to have them and do them and plant them, and they put them in their projects for you. They don't pay for the maintenance after the fact. And many cities, many have find that going, wait a minute, now we have to start taking care of those plants, trees, whatever it is. Railroad was happy to put those down in the middle of Second Street Forest. And there they sit. And some homeowners go out and they even try to take care of them themselves. But with revenue, as we know the way it is, boy, that's hard to come by to be able to maintain those deals. But again, I think that a working plan is something that we should move forward with.
Yeah, and I think we should have a very conservative plan starting out, and we should have a list of trees that we can feel confident that anybody can recognize that and say, hey, that is one of our trees. That does not belong here, right? And we should feel we should choose trees that we feel very safe about choosing. And we can always add more later if we feel like, okay, this is working out, it's not a problem. But, you know, I think we don't start with a really ambitious list of, 40 different trees and then people feeling confused and, there's an uncertain prospect for the city.
They may be having a guide that's made up, that if someone comes in, that we can hand that off to them, and then they can take it home, read up on, what the whole situation is, so that the guide includes the trees, and what your responsibility is around those trees that you decide to plant, so because it is your responsibility to deal with the leaves and everything. So I think if we, have a guide, then
Yeah,
it's
most
something
cities
that,
will have at least,
yeah,
at least
then we-
have that online.
right, yeah,
That up, but
yeah.
yeah, I think if we have maybe some paper guides.
Yeah, and it could be even something that, realtors use to hand off to new homeowners, kind of deal too, just so that they move here, they know from day one, because not everybody comes in and reads the ordinances around planting trees. So it can be something that's put in a realtor packet, to new homeowners, kind of deal too, yeah.
Yeah.
So should we go ahead and move on then?
Well, I had just one thing,
Okay.
because we kind of zoomed right past, Mr. Svoboda, and so I thought it would be nice if he kind of got up and introduced
He's
me.
not here.
Oh, he's not, oh, I'm sorry, I thought,
I'm sorry,
maybe I thought maybe it was him.
Oh, I actually.
Sorry about that.
Well, he's dressed very nice. with
Yeah.
how should be, And so I can see why.
Sorry about
I
that.
actually
Okay,
have a letter.
okay, yeah,
from him
okay,
that
good.
I'll
I wasn't
be-
sure if he was here or not. Okay,
Okay,
good.
okay, thank you.
Well, sorry
Okay.
about that.
So at this time, we will open the floor to public comment. Please state your first name. If you make sure that you sign to make a comment this evening and keep the time to 3 minutes, please. Are there any public comment?
Okay, so this is about the fire. I don't understand it, do I?
Whatever you feel comfortable with, Kathy.
Okay, so this is about the fire museum, and it's from Bev York, who is sister of Denny York.
Yes.
And it's about, anyway, she knows about what's been going on. The Denny York, for those of you that don't know or don't have background, the Denny York Historical Museum was created to honor my brother's memory after a tragic accident in 1986. Subsequently, the Daily World initiated a Denny York the Denny York Firefighter of the Year Award to honor him, to recognize outstanding local firefighters. Since Denny was the Cosmopolis fire chief at the time of his unexpected death, it saddened all of his family, friends, and the community. His son Brian was only 3 years old at the time of his death. As a grown man, hearing all the stories and having this fire museum named in his dad's honor keeps his memory alive. Over the years, Engine Company Number 1 has worked diligently to create this special place that Danny and his family could be proud of. My father, Nelson Dwan York, served on the Causey City Council and worked at Weyerhaeuser alongside all 3 of my brothers. The York family is proud of the legacy Denny left, and we are very honored for the recognition having the fire museum named for him. Because of all of the above reasons, I would hope the city will allow Engine Company Number 1 to continue on as stewards of the museum to bring it back to life. Sincerely, Bev York Tafoya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice. Any other comments at this time?
Darren King with the city of Cosmopolis Cares, Cosmopolis Community Cares. Just an update on the signs that the Daniels family and D4 donated to us. Thank you. Last week we were gonna hopefully get almost all the signs done, but then we realized that we picked the same day as taking the big toy down at Causey Lions and they needed help.
Thank you.
So we went there and shifted our efforts and helped with that. And so hopefully before end of June, we're gonna get on those signs. The next thing in line we have to do is just make sure there's a few posts where we have to put those signs. We just gotta make sure you call before you dig. And so we're working on getting a plan when we do that. I just wanna make sure we have all those spots identified. And then we're gonna be moving some of the old neighborhood watch signs and putting them in places like Mayor and I talked about, like in the parks and places where we've been having maybe some minor graffiti problems and things like that to scare them. Thank you.
And thank you for helping with that project down at Lion Club, and thank you for the sign, and thank you, Kelly Daniels, for the sign donation. They look very nice and they're very visible. I think we have another gentleman.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor Springer and members of the city council. My name is Jason Walker. I'm with Central Park, and you're probably aware that I was recently appointed your county prosecutor. My office handles the juvenile, criminal, and adult felony matters that come out of your city. Though I honestly don't see a lot from Cosmopolis, which is good. I'm just here to introduce myself and let you know, let you all know that if you have any questions or concerns about anything that my office deals with for you, please feel free to reach out. My door's open. Thank you.
Thank you. My door is
Thank you.
open too, anytime.
Thank
Thank you. Okay, any other comments this evening? Okay. Kelly.
I was on the list, but that's okay. One fun thing, talking about Lions Club Park, so my husband Corey is a baseball nut, as some of you know, and he's working with his best friend, Mike Brunner, to try and see if they might be able to look into some grants. Been working with Frank Chestnut a little bit to try and figure out how we might be able to make a proposal with city council on some grants to turf Lions Club for a baseball field. And so, Corey and Mike and Frank are kind of working on that, so we hope to be able to try and find some grant money to be able to, do that. Our company is working with Department of Transportation, to try and see if we can do some crosswalks, one at the RV park and then one at the subdivision. You know, the goal was to have families move into the subdivision, so we want a safe crosswalk to be able to go to Lions Club Park, so that's, part of the overall plan. So we're working on that, and hopefully we'll have something to present to the council for approval and discussion. So that's kind of a fun one. Just some comments, just because I'm down here a lot and working with the city hall and with the staff. Something I'd love for the council to consider is having an executive session or really kind of digging down on how we can get support for the mayor. You know, her car is here all the time. She's working long hours. I'd love to be able to see what other small municipalities are doing in terms of city council / clerk positions where we can get some real experience. Here, maybe it's a joint hat position where you get that city administrator and the clerk that can come in and be accountable to the city council. I'm often, I think it's one of the things where the citizens and businesses really don't know. The city council sets the direction. They're the legislative body of the city, and they set the direction and the tone and the plan moving forward. And so that's the city council's job, is to put together the plan and then have the mayor and the staff then implement your plan. And so it would be great, and I made a suggestion where maybe the city council members can have staff hours down here at City Hall, you know, posted hours once a week where members of the community can come in and visit and share about their projects or their ideas. Just because these meetings are once a month and it's hard and limited, or that they can be of help to the staff members and to the mayor to help assist in projects. With the absence of no clerk and no city administrator, a lot of this work is falling on the mayor, and it's tough. It's really hard. And so I think it's really, really, really important as the legislative body of the city to sit down and try and craft a plan for staff. I think that's gonna help move the city forward. So it's just a suggestion, because I think all the staff that's left, they need the support, they need your leadership, and that was part of the letter that I wrote all of you on June 3rd. I do hope that you take the time to read it line by line, because there's some good suggestions in there. And then on the tree thing, my last comment is we're gonna be planting trees on the subdivision, so we need to have a conversation about that, on which ones that would work and the city could approve, so it's timely.
Yes, happy to chat about it.
So Kelly, thank you. I guess we are really in sync, you and I, so we should have some discussion.
Yeah.
I wrote a grant to RCO last year and this year, but we didn't have the in-kind match. The grant's ready to go. When that comes out again this year, if you are interested in doing some funding to help the in-kind match, I'd love to sit down and discuss it. The grant is ready to go for that ballpark.
Yeah.
The other thing, I've been in communication with small cities and other cities about leadership, what we're looking at. We've had discussions about what that will look like. That will be going to the council. I think a part-time administrator is a great idea. We do have a clerk. We will be advertising for a deputy clerk. We've done actually really well the last few years running this city, and I think we're going to see even a better job moving forward. So with that, I appreciate, this community room is open. I think Councilman Skinner, we talked about coming down here, having days for people to come in, meet with your councilman. Tuesday's booked. Don't try to get Tuesday, because as you know, Kay Brownstead runs his place on Tuesday and does a great job, but any other day you can book it, come in here and have your day to meet with council. So I think we're really in sync. Just come on down and let's have a conversation. So moving on, any other comments this evening? Okay. So new business item. So tonight, I'd like to confirm the appointment of Cal Irwin Sabota to the Planning Commission. And he could not be here tonight, but I do have a letter after confirmation. I am just asking, I can do this, but I want to bring everything before the council. So I'm asking for your confirmation. So is there a motion to confirm Cal Irwin Sabota to the Planning Commission?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
The only discussion I'll have is I read the gentleman's resume.
Wow.
What is he doing here?
Yeah, well, he's gonna move this city forward is what
Oh,
it's gonna
my
do. Maybe he'll be our mayor in the future, if I could talk him into it. Okay, is that the only discussion?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so I'd like to read his letter. And it says, Mayor Springer and members of the city council, it is an honor and a privilege to be appointed to serve as the newest member of the Cosmopolis Planning Commission. He was pretty assured, I think. As a resident of Cosmopolis since 2021 and someone who has lived in the county for a total of 15 years, spanning back to 2007, I'm deeply invested in the future of our community and thoughtful stewardship of its growth. Please accept this letter in my absence. I'm unfortunately unable to attend the meeting in person as I am supporting my oldest daughter at her final softball game of the season. He's a girl's dad, so he's really involved, which was scheduled for this evening due to last week's rain. I'm incredibly excited to begin the journey and look forward to meeting you all soon as we work together toward our joint mission of helping this wonderful town we call home thrive. Okay, so we will confirm that. All right, moving on. Number 2, is there a vote to approve the C-Link franchise? Oh, Kelly, I just want to add with this franchise, always thinking about the city. And I actually had a conversation with him about a stoplight with lighted crosswalks down by your property. So keep your fingers crossed.
I think it's all the trucks that are gonna start coming into Pat
Yeah.
Bay too.
No, not an actual stoplight.
No, not a
No,
stoplight.
caution light.
No, but the
Crosswalk.
Yes, crosswalk.
No,
But-
no
Yeah.
stoplights.
So,
Son of a gun, you're gonna get a stoplight in Cosmo.
oh, no. So let's keep our fingers crossed. So, okay. Is there a vote to approve the C-Link franchise agreement?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I do have something. This might be for you, Chris. Ocean Shores is going through something similar with Ripple Fiber. They have multiple smaller subcontractors coming in and doing the work that C-Link is stating they're gonna be doing, but we all know that they're just the head of this, the operation. Ocean Shores has been having nothing but problems, over 60 utility damages and multiple other issues just continuously. Customers having sinkholes in their front yard after they did their boring. Then the subcontractors quit. And so who is liable then when bills are being sent out for these damages that occur? And I see they only have 1 year of as install, if something does go south, that they will come back and correct it. I just don't want us to turn into what Ocean Shores is starting to turn into. I don't see them putting the footage in Kazi that they're putting in Ocean Shores. But essentially, I just want to be cautious. Is there anything that we can add or do to better our insurance or our safety while this project's going on? Because I've just witnessed a similar project not go smoothly.
I mean, we could add anything we want if we, if we so choose. I'm not familiar with what's been going on in Ocean Shores.
Yeah.
If they're doing directional boring, this is gonna be conduit, my understanding is what Sealing's gonna be pushing through.
They're directional boring and conduit too, so they're
Right.
putting in that orange conduit too, probably the similar size of what they are
I
saying.
mean, it says a year.
Yeah,
Um,
would it be too much trouble to have it turn into 2 years and see if they would go with it? Or do you think they
you
would?
can
fight
approve
that?
it, you can approve it subject to me letting them know we want 2 years of.
Can I
Sort of a coverage.
recommendation here? So
Yeah,
thank you very much for bringing that up. My question was much less informed, but generally, are there any concerns that we should be aware of? And it sounds like there are. And we kind of breezed past the discussion period on this, so, I feel a little bit underinformed to vote on it today. What I would like to suggest is if we know that we have a nearby city that can kind of apprise us of, here's some issues we experienced and can tell us, boy, we wish that we had structured this contract a little bit differently.
Mhm.
Maybe we could get some guidance from them. Or elsewhere, but just really make sure we've done our diligence to ensure that we're signing an agreement where, well, unless there's any time sensitivity for the city, I can't kind of foresee there being any real urgency for us.
Only thing I will add, Ocean Shores is upwards of 500,000 footage that they'll be doing.
That's,
This is more or less in the 5,000 to 7,000 footage range, roughly,
we were under a mile.
Yeah, and
But I mean, still to the smallest point of just adding a 2 year safety plan where if we do get a sinkhole where they put a handhole in, they will come back and get those things corrected where someone will be liable and there just won't be customers with
Yeah,
drop offs and.
any impact we experience, there's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
well, and I would think Ocean Shores, it's a sandbar.
It's a spit.
So it's a spit, so there's considerably, the whole thing is sand. So there is a whole different texture as far as what we have out here. We have clay. There's a whole different deal. So I'm not saying that we can't have a sinkhole, but I think that there's a lot more going on at Ocean Shores just because of what they're digging around in. I lived out there for 4 years and it's always, the roads start going like this because of all the trucks and the sinks, because the whole thing is, I mean, if you want to grow grass, you have to bring in dirt and sod. So, I mean, it is sand and that's all it is. So I'm just saying there is a different texture of dirt happening,
Geology.
Oh, totally.
Are there any
Totally, yeah.
possible issues, like, you reference things that Ocean Shores is struggling, are they all geological issues or are there other?
Oh, no, I mean, it was also operator error from the installers. But like I said, they're doing a heavier footage.
Yeah.
But I've just witnessed issues when these fiber companies come in and want to get through their area and get out of town and move on. So I just want us to at least have some protection where if they were willing to go with a 2 year, I would feel more comfortable.
Yeah, my impression in conversations, and I think Chris can attest to that, they've been pretty open to conversations and ideas, and so.
yeah, I mean, they haven't been.
So is there a problem if we table this to come back to next month, or is there a timeline like,
I'm not aware of any time.
that if we
Cause I
can't
know
get,
there's other cities that they're still waiting for approval. Monsanto is one of them.
right, so maybe if has there been a city that they've already did this in? Did you say Oakville's already?
Sure.
Oh, No, this is a different
Oh,
company.
no, Ocean Shores is Ripple, this.
Yeah, this is two
Sea-Link,
different
this is
companies.
A different outfit that's.
Sea-Link has
starting in
not,
Westport.
has not,
So they haven't started
they have
yet?
not reached the thing, because they're doing this big,
Yeah,
you know,
'Cause-
leaving the ocean.
Right,
on the coast.
right, yeah, I've done some reading on it.
My understanding is Sea-Link has been
Yeah.
working with Westport. In
Yeah.
fact,
I think they're
Westport,
coming board at Westport.
right,
Yeah.
and Westport actually, it's a pretty large project and they're getting a baseball field out of it. And I was like, what about us?
So maybe we can,
Maybe they'll light it across.
so maybe you can talk to the mayor.
Field?
Huh?
So maybe you
I
can
can
have,
ask him for 2 years. I can go back to him and say the city'd like.
right,
2 years.
and maybe we can,
Yes.
maybe, mayor, you can talk to the mayor of Westport and maybe get more information. Maybe from them about it too, yeah,
I move that we table this for a month. Come back
yeah,
next month,
Okay,
yeah,
more
so,
answers, better proposal here of what we wanna do and what we're looking at.
yeah, I think
So
maybe
you
put
guys
it,
look at it,
We
and
make-
if you see anything else you want me to pitch to him,
okay,
I'll pitch it to him.
Alright. yeah.
So,
But I think a conversation with, Westport would probably.
so you want me to,
be
hold-
good.
I'm not, I mean, I don't wanna send, unless you guys wanna take some time to look at this first and then,
Yes.
cause I won't send him an email until we have.
Yeah, I think we,
Okay.
From everything I've reviewed, Chris, I'm only asking for a 2-year extension on their coverage of if any issues occur.
yeah, I didn't.
They are only running a
Yeah.
rough 4,000 footage straight stretch
Yeah,
with a 350-foot break off.
right,
So it's not anything, that's only my only concern.
Yeah, and we'll table it to next month and then just if anybody has any comments.
so is there a motion to table this evening?
I motion to table it.
Is there
Yeah.
a second?
Second,
Any discussion? Hearing none, the motion will pass the table this.
alright,
Aye.
Okay. Okay, moving on. We're getting there, folks. So last meeting, we did approve and make a motion to pass the ordinance for no parking on Bell Street. Tonight, we're just approving the change of the ordinance number because we're adding to that ordinance. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance 1404?
I move to approve. it.
1404?
Second,
Any discussion?
Just to be clear, because we did discuss several, so this is just the.
Bell Street.
Macarenko.
By
Yeah.
Macarenko.
Yeah,
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
aye,
All opposed? Hearing none. So moving on to item 4, so the fire museum. I do want to add to this, I hope, we do have the money to pay this. There was a concern about the gutters. We will reach out, I will tell you, the contracting company that we work with has. If there was any question, they've been right on it. Bill was out every step of the way. There was an insulation issue. That he saw, they went in, they fixed it, so he's been up there, he's looked at it. The museum is ready for engine company number 1. So the check is there, fire engine company number 1. And so, the check is there, I think if it's, as I understand, I think it was Todd said that he did a walkthrough. The only thing he saw was that the lights hadn't been hung up, and I said, we can get a lift down now and help you guys get those lights up. So is there a motion to approve payment for the Cosmopolis Fire Museum mitigation and restoration?
I
So-
believe it's actually, we are ratifying, it's more of a
I think
ratifying.
you first have to ratify the.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
yeah.
I don't think you need to, so here's my suggestion, I make a motion, that we pay 80% to the contractor, they've done the work. They'd like to get paid, they have staff that needs to be paid bills. My motion is to pay 80% of the amount. Approve the mayor to pay 80% of the amount today. And then we come back, because we need some information to be able to ratify this. To be able to go back and approve the contract in the first place and make the decision. So if we pay him 80%, we're being fair to the contractor. And we're also doing our due diligence around the council being informed to be able to even approve the contract in the beginning. The money's there, it was paid by the insurance company, pay the contractor 80%. That's my motion.
Well, comment
So,
from,
I mean, I think it would make sense to ratify the contract first. I think by approving payment, you're essentially ratifying the contract.
Yes.
But I think it'd be a little cleaner to say, look, we understand that this contract was signed without council approval. And we as a council are now ratifying that contract,
Right.
number one. Number two, we're now authorizing payment. And again, the 80% payment is based on the fact we're not paying 100% because we don't have, because there's a couple of issues.
Yeah, but it would be minor if it's a gutter.
I don't think so.
The motion's on the floor. We don't have a second yet.
I'll second that.
So the motion on the floor to 80 or
Is-
say that,
I think get clarification with the
Yeah.
motion. on-
Yeah,
the
there was just a
motion-
minute.
I think that we already had a motion.
That's what we had. Councilman Davis just made a motion and it wasn't to ratify. It was to pay 80%. My understanding was to pay the 80%, come back, have more discussion on the process that was not adhered to and how to make sure that happens, and then pay off whatever, I guess, at that point in time. That is the motion, right? It's Councilman Dave. Thank you. You seconding that motion? I'm just asking. I'm not telling.
Actually, no, I would prefer to have it be that we are
So
ratifying.
there's no second.
So
No
there's not a
second.
second at this time.
is there another motion?
So wait, motion then dies
For lack of a second.
for lack of a second. Now another motion can be made.
Is there another motion?
I move that we ratify the insurance payment for
Not the
the,
insurance.
No,
not the insurance payment,
The
the
contract.
contract, yes, for the
Ratify.
Cosmos, for the Memorial Museum. And restoration, yes,
Mitigation restoration.
yes.
I second the motion. Discussion.
Discussion.
So if the gutters weren't covered with the essential work that was done, is there any more money left from the insurance claim to get that gutter replaced? Because with winter coming, the gutter needs to be.
I think that we just take it to, it's, because it is an investment, it's, city-owned property,
Mhm.
that we take it to our CPA, make sure that we can get that taken care of, and get that taken care of.
Through city funding or the insurance fundings?
If I can't say for sure, but this company, restoration company, is Serpro. They, have done an excellent job,
Not service,
Service Pro.
service master.
Service
Thank
master.
you. Thank you.
I think we call them and, yeah, you see what they can do as far as that goes, yeah.
But right now, you're approving the contract, and I don't know what the scope of the contract. is.
Right.
But you're if this passes, you're approving the contract.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do.
What's the contract?
That's the point. What's the contract? We have zero information on what we're paying for. It's never been presented. And that was suggested in February. And followed up a few times in a meeting with the city attorney not too long ago that I had with the mayor and myself. And I'm not sure why, but there's zero information. So we're going to,
So I'm gonna
potentially-
correct you on that.
Wait, no, let him talk.
we're going to
It's his time.
we're gonna go back and ratify something that we have zero information on.
Well, I guess I would, point out that we have a probably 99% of the information based on what repairs were done. Presumably, I mean, it's not a huge leap of logic that they didn't do a lot of work that wasn't part of the contract. But what is a question is there work that was part of the contract that was not done? And that's the part that we don't know. It sounds like the mayor's preference would be that we call it good and we, manage whatever may be left undone with city resources. And other folks maybe would prefer that if it's part of the contract, that we hold contractor to that contract.
Absolutely.
So the way an insurance scope works is you have a claim. An adjuster comes, contractors, they get bids and they come up with a number and say X. And then it's still a moving document, it's still fluid. Because you can file for submittals to have something else extra that was omitted from the scope originally. So let's say I did some drywall work and they found there was more damage here. And so you're allowed to submit back to the insurance company for those extras.
Right, well, in
So
that
my
case,
question, my point of this is that we should see a document that says, here's the work that's gonna be done. We're gonna take the shingles off the roof and we're gonna put a metal roof back on. And we're gonna do this, and so you understand what you're voting on.
We should
sure,
have
but,
had a
well,
contract.
but now can I just get clarification on this? So, you know, so in the case of the gutters, which seems to be the only outstanding issue up for
We don't know,
discussion.
because we haven't done the scope.
You know, is this something that, you know, if there's a period during which, those things have to be reported for insurance, are we past that period?
We would have been if we had not, and you know, again, Mr. Davis, Councilman Davis reached out to me, wanted to be the consultant contractor on
That
this.
is not true.
And then I said, we are working with Bill, we put out bids and we did hire a company. We negotiated, they wanted to keep the shakes on the building for fire reasons. We went back and said, no. We want a metal roof on that building. They worked with us. There was an extra sheetrock that was not in the scope on the wall that was not part of the water damage that they fixed at no extra cost. And so Bill should be speaking to this because he was up there watching the scope of the work, approving it along the way. And so with that said, they did the work, they did it well, the job is done. And if I'm pretty good at negotiating, we will get those gutters and the city won't pay for it. And this building will be ready for fire engine. Thank you.
And an understanding to bring these types of projects forward.
Absolutely. Yes, Chris had a discussion with me about that and I said, thank you. And, yes, everything will come before council in the future. You'll probably be like, why? But it's coming to you.
So, if I may, what I'm hearing Councilman Davis say is the council's being asked to ratify a contract. I haven't seen the contract. You guys haven't seen the contract. So that, I get that concern. An option would be to get the contract with Service Master. We send it around, but with the council understanding. Though a lot of the work has already been done.
The
and I
work
don't
has
know
been
what the scope
done.
of that contract, I don't know what the scope of that work is. So that is. And I don't know where we are with time, I don't know if they're beating our door down for payments, I don't know.
They are.
So maybe we do that, yeah, maybe we set a special meeting where that's.
Yeah,
where that's
maybe
not an issue.
we take back the motion and we get the contract.
We have a
second.
Second, oh, yeah,
Can't
right.
And we're in discussion
Right,
and
okay.
we're gonna
Gotcha,
vote
oh,
on yes or no to ratifying the contract. That's what the motion
Right.
is, to ratifying the contract at this time. The work is done on the museum. The work is ready to be turned over to now a contract if Engine Company One so signs it to be the residents or the leasee of the facility. And the building inspector has passed it off as completed. The job completed. We chalk it up to experience, learn from it and move forward at this point in time. Again, I don't know why we want to say that we're going to read a contract and find something that was either charged too much or charged too little. A bid was entered, a bid was accepted. And the job and the work was done.
Yeah, like I said, my thought on this is just, this is a bit of a mess because of just the procedural structure. But I also tell you, this is not a good thing. I would imagine there's a lot of councils in this general county that have approved things they haven't read.
Oh, my God.
Now, I'm not encouraging that, but The council, it's the council's pleasure to do what they want to do. It is not best practice the way this is being done.
So
But I think it corrects the procedural error that the city has faced.
I call for the question.
I have a question. So speaking with Bill Sedor, did you receive a written scope from the insurance company or for Service Master on the project and a line item scope?
Yeah, there's a scope that was, the insurance company received, and I have a copy of that with the building permit and this stuff.
Do you feel that all those line items on that scope have been completed?
I can look at it again, but yeah, I feel they have been completed.
I think that, either course of action we take here, whether we vote yes on it now, whether we want to, take a beat and review the contract, either is ultimately going to be fine. It's going to be relatively inconsequential. Obviously, some things were done improperly here. Lessons were learned. I would also like to call the question so we don't waste
Yes.
time.
Yes. Call for a vote.
So I call for a vote to
Ratify.
ratify
That was
The-
my, yeah.
the-
I meant in
the
terms-
contract.
The contract.
Contract
to
with,
move forward with payment. They are waiting on their payment. Bill did go through everything with them. There was a scope.
all in favor?
All in favor.
All in favor?
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed?
All opposed? Any opposed? So you have 3 ayes, is that what we have?
Yeah.
Right,
Okay, so the ayes have it.
okay, so I'm opposed.
I'm opposed as well.
There's.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Totally valid.
Okay. Moving forward. So next, we are going to move on to,
Public comments.
you guys will have lots of stuff before you, and I apologize for putting you through this.
So, public comments.
Oh, public comments.
Can we have other action items? Yeah,
We do,
No,
too.
yeah,
We actually have,
forgot about the items.
we actually have been working for quite some time with Cosmopolis Engine Company #1. We have Chris has been working on a contract. Do you remember when we started in negotiations? We come to an agreement. This was sent to everyone. Is there a motion to authorize signing of a 5-year lease agreement with the Cosmopolis Engine Company #1?
I move we enter into that lease.
I second.
Any discussion?
I guess only discussion I have is that this is a contract for us to approve, then the contract goes to engine company #1.
If you're authorizing the mayor to actually sign that.
Sign on that contract.
Which is
There we
right here.
go. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the contract is approved and passes. Yay. So,
Last one.
the last one, is a vote to confirm the transition of, Mackenzie Adams from deputy clerk to interim clerk treasurer. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Is there a
to
second?
Approve.
I second that.
Discussion?
I just want to say that that I feel that she is very qualified. She has proven her time here at Kazi. She's raising her family here. She's a very dedicated worker for the city. She puts in a lot of time and I feel is qualified for the position in my mind.
And she would be, interim,
Mhm,
step
yeah.
1.
Right.
Any other discussion?
I'm not sure that I feel the same as Councilmember Darcy as far as qualifications and education around all that a clerk does. And so that's a very big concern of mine.
Well, That's duly noted, but I would have to say that in the past, hasn't really been an issue.
So I would like.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
like,
Interim appointment.
Yes, it is interim, yeah.
and I would
It's a
like to
step,
tell her
so, yeah.
qualification. That individual has a degree in business management. She has, been in training for retirement, the department retirement. She now does our payroll. She is going through training with Springbrook. She's working closely with our CP. She reconciled accounts that were not completed and are moving forward, working with our CBA. She does all account payable and payroll at this time. She's amazing and researching ordinance and things, probably the best that I've seen. So I just, she is going to continue with her training as we move forward. This is step one and it's an interim.
Right, and I didn't say that lightly. I've worked with her considerably, considering I've been the main council person who has come in and looks over the vouchers for the last 2.5 years, and she's been, between her and Casey, have been very they're so I've worked with her considerably a lot around the financial situations of the city, and she's that's my opinion around that. I feel that she is qualified. I'm not just saying it just to say it. I have worked with her closely around the finances of the city, so I feel that she is quite capable of being able to take the training and move forward in this position.
And our CPA also
Yeah.
recommended that, working with her closely.
2 seconds. I had discussions with the mayor on this issue and with the clerk on this deal, and I know it's probably not right, but I even had discussions with my own wife about this idea. And what I admire with Casey is that no matter what's going on in the room, and there's lots of times, lots of crazy stuff going on in the room, Casey's doing her job. It's not one of them where she jumps to some other Kinsey, not Casey. See, that's the other.
Threw you off. I threw you off,
Yeah,
sorry.
way to go. Now you make me look really.
I threw you off.
Anyway, Kinsey is somebody that concentrates what I notice on her job. It doesn't get rattled by the outside noise or want to get into the conversation with whatever else is going on. She's at her station doing her work. And at times like, can I bother you for a second? And she's right there. And she'll tell me to go away most of the time, but she'll at least respond to me. So I think she's gonna be a good fit. She's got learning, she's got schooling, she's got to get done and take care of, but I think she's gonna be a real good fit. Anyway, that's it.
Okay, any other discussion at this time? Okay, all those in favor? Say aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the ayes have it. Congratulations, Counselor. She's like, oh, what am I getting myself into? Okay,
Public comment,
okay, so the museum,
public comments,
public comment at this, or you probably want to go home.
Letter of resignation. Here.
Yes. So this evening, Councilman Skinner is going to,
Our fire chief took full-time position at a fire station as a full-time chief. I'm not sure which one it is. No, he's told me, but he's resigning from Cosmopolis. And he gave this letter: Dear Mayor Springer, this is a letter to formally notify you of my decision to resign from my position as fire chief of the City of Cosmopolis Fire Department. I would like to say thank you to the city council and the citizens of Cosmopolis. This has not been an easy decision, but after careful consideration, I have decided to conclude my employment with the city. I am providing more than 1 month's notice, with my final day of employment being Friday, July 31st of 26. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the city council and the citizens of Cosmopolis for the opportunity to serve this community. I would like to thank Mayor Springer for the support provided during my time with the Cosmopolis Fire Department, as well as the dedicated staff of the Cosmopolis Fire Department, Public Works Department, and City Hall. Additionally, I appreciate the many partnering agencies with whom I have had the pleasure of working with. During my remaining time with the city, I am fully committed to ensuring a smooth transition of my responsibilities to the next fire chief or interim fire chief. Please let me know how I can best assist with transferring projects, sharing information, or helping to train other team members. Lastly, I would like to express my interest in continuing to serve the city of Cosmopolis as a volunteer firefighter EMT following my resignation. I believe my experience and knowledge of the department and the community would continue to be a valuable asset, and I would welcome the opportunity to remain involved in that capacity if permitted. Thank you again for your trust, support, and opportunities provided to me throughout my career with the city of Cosmopolis. Serving this community has been a privilege and an honor. Respectfully, Jacob Coker, Fire Chief.
We will be publishing that position. We also will be publishing a deputy clerk positions, okay? And so, public comment.
Where's
I
Carl?
got one. Thanks.
You-
You're the engine company, on behalf of the engine company, I guess. And another one is, I like the way this council's running.
Thank you.
You
Thank
make
you.
mistakes and you get to talk, but it still comes up.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, we want to be very transparent and, I've made a few. And you kind of have to like, okay, we learn from them. Like I said, everything will go before council.
Volunteer.
You know what, though? I really like you, so we'll let that go.
Commander Timmons, can you open the door for that gentleman?
Public now.
So any other comment?
Thank you, Mayor, for all the cleanup around the city, and Tim for mowing, Mill Creek Park every week. I mean, that's great. Darcy's doing a great job with the food bank and helping the mayor or just keeping things going.
Thank you.
And Jeremy for rewriting the park plan. He's doing a great job to keep doing that. And I think the city's doing great. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Okay, any other comments?
Just a last comment, to echo what you said, sir, the city there's a lot of good things going on in the city. And so we can get bogged down in the details and some of the negativity things, but this is, where we call home and where we have our businesses. And so a lot of good things going on Main Street, the Pape building is pretty darn exciting, subdivisions exciting, schools exciting. People's houses are, getting cleaned up. We live in a beautiful town, so mistakes happen, move on, figure out how to work together, be more present, be more visible for the citizens. There is a lot of good things going on, so.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Make
Thank
sure
you,
you say, make sure you pat yourself on the back.
Okay, any other comments this evening? Okay, council comments. Karen,
Everyone for joining us tonight.
Oh, boy.
yeah,
Yes.
bring popcorn next time, okay. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Don't move. So move.
Second.
Second,
Aye.
I,
okay, with no other business, the meeting is adjourned at
9:03.
9:03.
It's been a while.
I will.
Oh, that was-
And.
Yeah, it's the sales side.
Okay.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,